Hello everyone, my name is Udigal, and whoever doesn't know me, I'm from Israel, so that's why I have a little bit of accent. I hope everyone will be comfortable and everything will be clear. I'm also have a little bit of background, a little bit. I was Olympian in sailing, so you will see why it's important for the presentation. The sport that I chose to explore is equestrian, the art of horseback riding. And actually, the person in the picture is I was fortunate to be coached by him. His name is Malcolm. He's coming from a different culture, from New Zealand. And later on, I interview Laura, which is an athlete, and she an athlete in the sport, and she owns a farm, and she's taking care of horses, and she's riding and racing often. So the reason I chose this sport, I find I was triggered, and I found it very interesting, the relationship between the athlete and the horse. Laura mentioned it in the interview that it's probably one of the only sport that you need to communicate and to be in sync with another living creature, which is not human being, and the communication is one of that, and the bond is very challenging. In my mind, horse riding and sailing have a lot in common. Um, Somewhere in sailing, you need to control the boat and the weather, which is unexpected, or you're not doing the right thing. You lose control of the boat, and a lot of body poses and how you use the body. And I found that a lot of things are very similar between horses and how you control the horse and how you bond with the horse in the rhythm and the unexpected of the weather or how you use your body. I always loved horses and sport, obviously, separately. I was interested how it works together. I don't know much about the sport, so for me it was one of the reasons to choose a sport that I don't know anything. Since I came to America, I discovered a lot of sport that we don't have in Israel, like baseball, football, very popular here, but it is a sport that I never had interaction with it. There are a lot of farms nearby where I live here in Redwood City, so it was quite, yeah, it's always in front of my eyes when I drive around, and horses and everything. I said, okay, I should explore that. And I was challenged by the idea of working with this population in the future. I think there is a lot to work here in this sport, and we can discuss about it later. The history of the sport. The origin of the horse jumping actually goes back to military. This is the history of the sport, and this is where it's coming from. Back then, a lot of the Olympic teams came from the military. They were military riders. They actually the gear that they were in the coat. It's called the hunt coat, and it's because there was a lot of fox hunting clubs around England, and this is how it's the dressing and the gear that you often see in the sport, which is part of the show, is coming from. Um, Part of the horse history in the military, it have a very big role in the history of the military, even before the tank or any other machines. In the history, this is where an army got advantage of other army when they had horses and ride the horses. The Christian events were first included in the modern Olympic in 1900, and by 1912 all three disciplines of this horse riding were part of the games until today. A bit about the culture of the sport. Christian sport or any other horse riding sport is very, very expensive. If it's from the horse itself, which is the price is enormous, and the farm and the staff and the equipment and everything around. It doesn't have a lot of corporate partnership or any sponsorship, which is make it harder, even harder for the athletes. Mostly elite class people, and mostly from elite class and white people. You can find some Mexican, today also Chinese, Far East, Middle Eastern from Saudi Arabia and other countries that have the fortune, and but mostly white American or Western in Europe. Also, you can find sometimes people from not only elite class, but they do have the access for the very wealthy people or the sport. The horses that use in the competition are very special breeding, and it's priced out almost everyone. What I found very special about this sport is that the special horse nutrition, the facilities like it's the farm or the barn or the arena, safety equipment. There is a lot. If the helmet or the cuff that you put on the horses and the boots, and even like protection for the horses' knees and ankles. There's a lot of safety equipment that involve travels. To travel with a horse, you need a trailer. Sometimes you need to ship him around the other side of the world. And more than that, sometimes you go with the horses staff or the person that take care of the horses, and that's the expenses are huge. Also, there's a lot of staff members that taking care of the horses, cleaning the barn, and the coaches, and like this is just for the horses. Besides that, we have the regular expenses for the athletes. Who is the athlete, the average athlete of the horse riding? So as we said, it's elite white class, ages to 8 to 80. Like there is no any, only because of the horse doing the most of the job. The actual athlete is the range is like, as long as you can function and ride a horse, you can go for it. You can pick somewhere at age of 40 or 50. The horses used to be 8 to 11 years old. Now you can see in the Olympics horses. Last time you can see a horse at age of 19, but horses at age of 20 are still compete. The athletes that usually is primarily Caucasians. There are a lot of Europeans, as we said, mostly from the big countries. Mexico is a great country for that compete in the Olympics in high level. Brazil, big country. The Netherlands and Bulgaria, which are the history and the culture of horsing. It's very popular over there. Germany and England, of course. You can find, as we said earlier, now these days, a lot of Arabs country which have a lot of fortune, and the East that develop themselves in almost every other coach, especially the Chinese. The age of retirement, there is no any specific age. Usually it's becoming weak of repeated injuries, a lot of concussions, or mostly, and another good reason is lack of money. Again, this sport is very, very expensive. After the retirement, athlete stays in sport, and they stay as coaches, judges, working in the farms and barns. I guess it's a way of living. What is a day of competition? I asked Laura. I thought it's going to be a simple question. Yeah, we have a couple of days here, a couple of hours here, 1 hour there, and she listed me a long list of what they actually do. I tried to summarize it here, and lower in the link in the discussion, I will post the link for the folder of the video and the photos, and also the interview that I had with Laura. They wake up early in the morning, probably 5 or 6, sometimes earlier. Go to the barn. They check on the horses, walk them around, just to wake them up, start moving and everything. The stables that usually the horses are staying are smaller where they live usually, and it's very crowded. So that means that they need there's a lot of maintain to care, a lot of attention to give to the horses, which is probably uncomfortable, which is new housing. You need to feed them in the breakfast, food, water buckets, special nutrition, medicine if needed. I tried it. Trust me, it takes hours. You also later on you go in the course, you see where you jump, you go to the arena, you look at the course map, which is sometimes different from one event to another. Horses need to be braided and to brush a lot before they go to the arena. You need to polish your own equipment. A lot about this sport is about it's almost like a show. If I want to compare about it from the Winter Olympic sport is the ice skating, or from the normal Olympic sport is the gymnastic. It's a lot about how you look like. So all your equipment need to be polished, need to be shining, and need to look great, you and the horses. And later on in the day, after you're doing your own routine, you also go with a coach or your teammate. With your teammates, you watch their training, you discuss about it, like a normal debriefing of your own performance and your team performance. Later on, you have your own race, or you watch later on your teammates' races, and then at the end of the day, all what we just mentioned, but backwards. You need to take care of the horse, rinse it, wash it, feed him, make sure he's comfortable before he goes to sleep, and he goes to sleep. So I interviewed Laura. She started at the age of 8. She is extremely motivated, and she loves horses or any animals, which is part of her way of living. She have in her farm dogs, 4 or 5 dogs. She have cats. It's all about it, and a lot of neighbors and everything. She's an athlete. She's still competing very often. She would try to go to the Olympics. And she wanted to, and she got to the highest level. She traveled all around the world, but she at one point in her life she said, "Okay, I need to continue on with my life. I cannot invested everything in the horses." She mentioned how it taught her responsibility. She likes how the important of how the competition test and challenge your skills. She wanted to develop as a horsewoman, which is often it's not that often and it's not that common story, and it's especially when you're taking care of everything in the horse and the farm, and it's something in her family which she loved and challenged by. It taught her a lot of humility, and she just loved how you can understand the horse and talk to the horse and understand that it's not just about you or other person that you can communicate. Sometimes the horse can have a bad day, and then you need to deal with it if you like it or not. She talks a lot about how to understand and to be able that she cannot teach her how that she cannot control everything, like what we like to call control the controllable, and he taught her how to be adaptable. She tried not to predict too many things and to have a high expectation, because like we said earlier, the horse is unpredictable like any weather, although weather today we can anticipate. You never know. Also the horses, they are educated, they are trained, but sometimes, as we said, they have a bad days, and it taught her a lot of skills to her own life. I talked to Laura I wanted to talk, of course, to take this sport and to see how it goes together with sports psychology. I talked to Laura and about her past experience with any sports psychology. She said she worked with sports psychologists. It was more like traditional work with him. She didn't like him too much, and it didn't work out. She needed a balance to her coach, but she felt that he didn't do work. His work was not good enough. But not to herself, but she definitely said that sports psychology and some of the skills that we talk about sports psychology that we can talk and sport performance enhancement are very, very relevant to this sport and the horse riding. As we said earlier, control the controllable. She talked a lot about team building and how is it to be part of the team and learn from your teammates and team building activities. We didn't talk between us about imagery. She called it the visualization, and that became an open discussion. And she said that it's one of the things that she always did, and her coaches guide her and like trying to imagine, because you cannot talk to to the horse, and you need to be understand how his body moving and his legs moving and how you go in sync with this movement. So how imagery can be part of it. A lot of communication, unverbal communication. There's a lot of body language, of course. I didn't like the fact that you need to kick the horse in the stomach, but apparently it's okay and he's comfortable with. There's a lot of bond with the horse, and you need to feel him if he's angry, he's uncomfortable. When I was working with the coach, and I tried to ride the horse, and he explained me when the horse is comfortable with my action, when he's not, and why things are happening. So you need to use a lot of your senses and to focus on those kind of things. Anxiety is part of every competition, especially with horses. If you're afraid from situation, or the horse have anxiety, is uncomfortable, had a bad night's sleep, long travel, whatever, it's not just you, it's also the horse. So if he's uncomfortable, you develop anxiety and how the performance will be. Injuries. There's you ride 45 miles per hour. If you crash, you crash badly. Sometimes it's bad injuries, and the recovery, the post-trauma basically that you have from that, and the confidence that you lost, and your bond again that you need to build with the horse again. It's very relevant. We talked a lot about goal settings and the life skills that you need in the sport, and how it's helping you to develop other life skills later on. Like we saw that the schedule is from early morning until late in the evening. So it's the time management and how you manage your own life as an athlete together with the horse again. It's very important. There's a lot of challenges, if the routine that we spoke, the equipment, the travels. So all of these are relevant to the work with a sports psychologist. My experience, there's no any picture here, but in a minute we'll see some video, and I will share a link later on for my photos and videos. I found it's amazing. I don't know if I would go and do that with my own reason that I cannot mention now, but it's amazing sport. I always thought that sailing is one of those special sports that give you so much life experience, and sailors a lot talk about the relationship with the boat, although it's not something alive. Definitely here there is the bond with the horses, or with the horse. It's so much. I actually enjoy that a lot, to take care of the horse, to talk with the horse before we gain, to feed him. I think the Drazel, the horse, really liked me at the end of the day, because I was just feeding her all the time with snacks and everything. But it's a lot. I brushed her. There's some areas in the horse that they cannot scratch themselves. So when you brush them, there's a special brush, or like you scratch them over there. They enjoy it so much, so they enjoy it, and they come and like they're a pet. and it was very special for me. The similarity of sailing, like I mentioned in the beginning, and after my experience, I found so many things that are relevant. The way you did, just the way you sit and how you walk with your body and how you walk with your hips and the shoulders and you hold the thing that the bridle that connected to the horse, low, how every movement of your body affecting the horse speed or the horse reaction. It's almost 1 to 1, but it's not to sailing. The only difference is much drier. I don't like to get wet. I actually hate to get wet, which I liked a lot. But I'm a very hygienic person, so all the farm and the barn and the horses are not that, and it's a bit stinky. So it's a big difference. Also in boats, there's a lot of maintenance. The amount of maintenance and work you have around the riding surprised me. I think that the biggest amount of time that you spend is actually before and after. Like the riding is actually short time. That the horse get tired, you get tired, and you cannot spend too much time of practicing. But all the work that you do before and after, it takes a lot, the majority of the day, and it's very important that you do it. Yes, there is staff that take care of the horses, but you there bonding with the horse is extremely important, which I found it very interesting. And the one thing, and one of my biggest takeaways, or not takeaways, that one thing I wish I could do, I could have done, is that to interview a horse. It was very interesting to talk with the coach and Laura, the athlete, and I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot about the sport, but it was I wish I could interview a horse. And the first question I would ask a horse is, do you actually comfortable with me kicking you in the stomach to start riding? Can't we communicate and talk? Can I give you like a code word or a cue that, okay, now we go on faster or slower? So yes, I wish I could interview a horse. That was one of my biggest thing that I would like to do else. Here's a short video of me in the arena. Apparently I went to the third stage early. Usually it takes a few weeks or month, but it's my pride. I enjoy it a lot. The horse is very beautiful. Drazel.
Touching the mane. Have your pinkies touch the mane. There you go.
In sailing, mane is a mainsail. It's part of the sails. Huh?
Hands down.
And whoa.
She's like, what are you doing? Whoa.
I carried on.
She's an angel.
It was a unique experience. I like that. In the beginning, I was with a leash, kind of, that she goes around the leash, and slowly you get more experience with that. And there was a lot of funny moment. This jumping up and down, if you are not in sync, is not that comfortable. And yes, I loved it. We agreed that I will come again, and we will ride outside in the open nature, which I'm super excited about it. So here's some links and references. Obviously you cannot click on it, but there's also the Google Drive with the interview that I did with Laura, and some other photos and video. If someone interested, I will post it on the discussion. Thank you very much for everyone for listening. I enjoyed the experience. I hope I brought a little bit of my experience into this presentation. Good luck and goodbye.